Welcome back, Johnnies, to the second episode of The Eye of the Storm. I'm Michael Outlaw.
And I'm Ned Brennan.
And we've got the top stories from St. John's and beyond that we're bringing straight to you.
This is Eye of the Storm.
This past Tuesday, it was announced that President Donald Trump fired Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. The Associated Press reports that CIA Director Mike Pompeo is the president's pick to replace Tillerson, with Pompeo's deputy Gina Haspel to replace him. As CIA Director, Trump cited his disagreements with Tillerson on key issues such as the Iran nuclear deal and thanked him for his service. The move to replace Tillerson with Pompeo has struck a variety of reactions from other public figures. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reacted to Tillerson's removal by stating, "The instability of this administration in just about every area weakens America." UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who reportedly had tensions of her own with Tillerson, praised the president's decision to fire Tillerson and congratulated Mike Pompeo, who she refers to as a friend.
Tragedy struck a family in Austin, Texas this past Monday. According to the Wall Street Journal, package bombs left on the doorsteps in the state capitol killed a 17-year-old man and injured two others when they suddenly exploded. This bombing was similar to the one that occurred on March 2nd that killed another person. The string of explosions from packages in Austin, Texas has led Austin Police Chief Brian Manley to warn the residents of unexpected package deliveries and to call local authorities to come take care of the situation. Manley also stated that the U.S. Postal Service does not believe that the package was sent through their service.
Last Sunday's vote to remove term limits from Chinese presidency ended with little opposition to President Xi Jinping. The vote ended with 2,958 votes in favor, just 2 against, and 3 abstentions. This will allow incumbent Xi to rule beyond the term limitations in 2023, and possibly for life. This hardly comes as a surprise for most, as Xi spent his first term riding the Chinese Communist Party. Those who challenge his authority all while maintaining a strong use of censorship and creating a cult of personality. This shows as his popularity is healthier than ever. After the vote, the NPC chairman told delegates, "The great dream of national rejuvenation encourages us to keep striving." He inspired them to thoroughly study and apply Xi Jinping's thought and realize the Chinese dream. But even though he may be popular, there are concerns when it comes to political strong-arming. A cursory glance at this situation brings up memories of Mao Zedong, whose ideals of advancement led to the death of millions. While reverence for Xi is seemingly as a necessity as far as career advancement goes, there isn't much offered for voicing a dissenting opinion in Chinese politics, as there is a lack of debate when it comes to a policy.
In a time where we see censorship across the world, Food for Thought shook things up a bit this week with their latest program, Into the Light. Let's check it out.
Hello everyone, I'm Alexandria and I am here with WRED-TV at Food for Thought's Into the Light. So it's an open mic night event for mental awareness. So it's open for all poets, writers who want to share their story, whether it be personal or, one from a friend, talking about mental awareness and their struggles and trials and tribulations with it. So let's go check it out.
It was my first one that I've been to, and it's just a very, not only like enlightening for myself because I'm able to see like how I perform, but like I see how other people perform too, and like sometimes you could just watch them and see what certain lines that they say. It's when you really know, what hits home for them.
I really like performing because it's such a safe space that we create here.
If people have something they're going through, something like this can help them because they've realized they're not alone.
I think poetry stemmed from having these problems. I think it was a complete escape of everything. How could I turn all of my trauma into something beautiful, into poetry?
We're gonna have 2 more events. We're gonna have a poetry conference, and then we're gonna have a poetry showcase, and we're gonna hopefully have other collaborations with other organizations.
The event was amazing. We heard lots of great pieces from some wonderful poets. The poetry was beautiful. emotional, powerful, and I was touched. I'm Alexandra Boyce with WRED-TV. Back to you guys in the studio.
In support of the global push to end sexual violence, Catholics are calling for Pope Francis to make more dramatic changes to the Vatican's investigation of crimes, especially involving sexual abuse by clergy. A large reason the Catholic Church cardinals chose Francis for Pope was because of his position as Vatican outsider with the capacity to clean house of widespread sexual abuse allegations. However, there have been many criticisms of Francis' dedication to actively punish guilty clergy members and lack of satisfactory reaction to victims. There have been several public cases in which the Pope appointed bishops amongst accusation of abuse. In recent years, a large scandal surfaced the Pope's defense of Chilean Bishop Juan Barros, who was accused of covering a pedophile priest's years of abuse to teens in 2011, which he witnessed. The Pope claims to not have received a letter containing evidence against Barros and stated, "If I was convicted without evidence or without moral certainty, I would commit a crime of being a bad judge." Those accustomed to Francis's lack of global action against abuse do not accept his fault as an accident. Jesus Romero Collin, who was only an 11-year-old altar boy when first abused in 1994, claimed in court this past week, "It's been almost 10 years of fight to achieve justice." Romero is accusing the church hierarchy for protecting abusers and planned to meet with Pope Francis during a visit to Mexico, but was denied and later sent a letter by Francis stating, "I ask for forgiveness in the name of the church. With simplicity I ask for it. I have no other word." The sentencing of Romero's abuser, made public on Tuesday, was the first time in history that a Mexican priest was legally convicted by a court of sexual abuse to minors. Because in many nations, discussion of sexual abuse by clergy is generally not discussed and discouraged, the statistics of abuse within the church are difficult to measure, and most are not taken to court. Both Catholics and non-religious people are now actively declaring that the Pope must be highly accountable for addressing sexual abuse and distributing rightful punishment.
Here at St. John's, there are a number of growing people speaking out about their own experiences with being overlooked. We have Zach Mahabier here to report on feminism around the world.
We here at WRED-TV are proud to help celebrate Women's History Month by covering some of the great feminist events that are going on here around campus. Here, today, we're at Feminist Around the World, which is being held by some organizations like Italian Society, Feminists Unite, Otaka Brigade, and Lasso. And together, they're going to be holding some guest speakers and be holding content related to the spread of feminism and the importance of women's strength. Now, here are some interviews.
So this event is focusing on feminism around the world, and this was kind of spurred because a lot of organizations on campus wanted to talk about how feminism affects different communities. And so, for instance, the Latin American Student Organization is trying to focus on like issues that impact them, machismo, and liberation theologies that have been established, as well as touching on topics like what it's like in Japanese culture and Southeast Asian culture.
I'm going to be talking about a key figure in Japanese feminism. Roku Danashiko, she is probably most famous for 3D printing her vagina and making it into a kayak. And she was actually arrested for obscenity laws.
Feminism means female empowerment and women being able to be treated as equally as men and respected. You know, that's the main thing, respect. We have certain leaders who aren't good examples of showing like respecting women and how to treat women.
Well, Feminism Around the World seems to be another amazing Women's History Month event here at St. John's University. Hopefully the events taking place this month will help make changes past March and make a better world for women everywhere. Here from WRED-TV, I'm Zach Mahabier. Back to you guys in the studio.
Despite all the crazy stuff going on in the world, it's been an equally chaotic past few weeks in sports. Here to recap are Anna Kulesa and Brendan Murray over at SportsWire.
Thanks, Michael, and welcome to our second episode of SportsWire. I'm Anna Kulesa.
And I'm Brendan Murray.
Let's dive right in. Well, Johnnies, happy March. Unfortunately for the men's basketball team, their March only lasted 2 games. After drawing the 9 seed in the Big East tournament last week, the Red Storm matched up with the number 8 seed, the Georgetown Hoyas. The Hoyas had gotten the better of the Johnnies in their previous 2 battles this season, so it's safe to say St. John's was looking for redemption, and luckily, they got it, defeating one of their biggest rivals 88-77. That victory set them up for a battle with top-seeded Xavier. Although the Red Storm kept the game close throughout the first half, Xavier would end up pulling away and winning 88-60. The Red Storm may not be competing in the NCAA tournament this year, but the Big East is well represented. Villanova and Xavier have drawn 1 seeds, St. Paul and Creighton have drawn 8 seeds, and Butler and Providence have drawn 10 seeds.
The St. John's women's basketball team are going dancing. The women earned a bid to the WNIT for the 6th time ever. The Johnnies are coming off a disappointing 66-58 Big East tournament loss to Creighton in the quarterfinals, but the Red Storm are looking to reach the Elite Eight for the first time ever in the school's history. The women have reached the Sweet 16 in 4 of the last 5 WNIT tournament appearances. We had our very own Austin Fabiano reporting for us at Carnesecca Arena as the women took on Marist, winning 68-47.
Thanks, guys. I'm Austin Fabiano. I'm here at Carnesecca Arena, where the Red Storm took on the Marist Red Foxes of the first round of the WNIT. It was a strong showing for the Red Storm, as both Maya Singleton and Elmani Littleton had double-doubles, each with 12 points and 10 rebounds. Andrea Adams led the team in scoring with 14 points and also had 2 assists. The final score of the game was St. John's 68, Marist 47. St. John's Red Storm will face the winner of the Penn-Albany game. That's all I have here at Carnesecca Arena. I'm Austin Fabiano. Back to you guys at the studio.
With the conclusion of basketball season comes the start of the baseball and softball seasons. The baseball team started off the season hot as they won all 7 games they played during their week-long trip to North Carolina at the end of February. Their most notable victory came against the number 6 ranked Tar Heels. The guys would push the winning streak to 8, but have since cooled down. The Red Storm lost the last 4 games and are coming off a series in which they were swept in Kansas by the Jayhawks. The baseball team will look to snap their losing streak when they host the Yukon Huskies in their home opener. The softball team began their season early on and are currently 5-16 overall in tournament play. So far, Christina Melendez and Crystal Puga have been the offensive standouts. Melendez leads the team with a .397 average, and Puga leads the team with 9 home runs and 23 RBIs. The girls have yet to play a home game, but will host the St. John's Invitational this weekend when they will take on Hofstra, Binghamton, Boston University, and UMass.
The NHL free agent frenzy has begun. After losing the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes to Minnesota, the New York Jets have signed not 1, but 2 quarterbacks. Gang Green re-signed Josh McCown to a 1-year, $10 million deal, and Minnesota outcast Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year deal. Both quarterbacks are expected to compete for the starting job. Despite the 2 signings, the Jets are still expected to go with a quarterback in this year's draft. The Jets were also able to plug in key holes on offense and defense, signing former Browns running back Isaiah Crowell and former Rams cornerback Trumaine Johnson. Jets safety Jamal Adams took to Twitter Tuesday night to try and lure wide receiver Jordy Nelson, who was released by the Packers, tweeting a Photoshop picture of Nelson in a Jets uniform, writing, "Let's make some noise." The Giants had a quieter week, adding to their weak offense by signing former Panthers running back Jonathan Stewart. Stewart rejoins offensive coordinator Mike Shula, who was fired by the Panthers and hired by the Giants in February. The Giants are also projected to take a quarterback in this year's draft, but could go for Penn State running back Saquon Barkley. That is, if he isn't nabbed by the Browns with the first pick.
It might be a quiet April for hockey in New York. Both the Rangers and the Islanders currently sit in the last 2 places of the Metropolitan Division. The Rangers in 7th with 71 points, and the Islanders in 8th with 70 points. Neither team has been eliminated from the NHL playoff race, with the Islanders being just 8 points and the Rangers being just 9 points behind the Devils, who currently hold the last wild card spot. The Rangers completely overhauled their team before the trade deadline, trading key players Rick Nash and captain Ryan McDonough to the Bruins and Lightning, respectively. The Rangers have gone 5-3 since the deadline. The Blue Shirts defeated the Stanley Cup champions 4-3 in overtime this past Wednesday. Chris Kreider had 1 goal and 3 assists on the night, and Mika Zibanejad led the team with 2 goals, including the overtime winner. The Rangers next take on the Blues Saturday night in St. Louis. The Islanders only made 1 trade at the deadline, sending Jason Chimera to Anaheim for Chris Wagner. The Isles have gone 1-7 since the deadline. Captain John Tavares told the media that this skid, quote, isn't a whole lot of fun right now. The Islanders played their first game of back-to-back matchups against the Capitals last night. The Isles were blown out by the first-place Caps 7-3. Coming off a 50-save game against Calgary on Sunday night, the Islanders' rookie goaltender Christopher Gibson allowed 5 goals on 12 shots. The Islanders play the Capitals again tonight in D.C.
We're less than 2 weeks away from opening day, so things are starting to get serious down in the Grapefruit League. The Yankees came into spring training with their sights set on a return to the Fall Classic. With new manager Aaron Boone, the Bombers have fared very well this spring, which they hope is a sign of things to come. The Yankees made headlines when they acquired Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson from the Texas Rangers early last month. Wilson came to the camp to act as a mentor for the young Yankees. Although he struck out in his only at-bat this spring, Wilson had his fair share of homers during batting practice. Some recent news out of Tampa: the Yankees signed second baseman Neil Walker, which led to the team optioning Gleyber Torres to AAA. Torres was expected to compete for an opening day roster spot prior to the signing. Over in Port St. Lucie, the Mets have not been looking too hot. They're currently at the bottom of the Grapefruit League standings and have already feeling the impact of injuries. David Wright has been shut down for 2 months as he still experienced shoulder and lower back issues. Yoenis Cespedes was scratched from Tuesday's game with a sore wrist, which he injured while swinging, but luckily for the Mets, X-rays were negative. The bright spot for the Mets has been Noah Syndergaard. The pitcher hit triple digits 11 times in his spring debut and has been named the team's opening day starter. The Mets will open the season at home against the Cardinals, while the Yankees will begin the season on the road against the Blue Jays.
With only 3 weeks until the Masters, many golf fans wondered who would emerge as a favorite to take home the green jacket. In last week's Valspar Championship won by Paul Casey, a familiar face came back with a blast from the past in their runner-up performance, Tiger Woods. Tiger ended up tied for second, 1 stroke behind the lead, after playing the best golf he has since the last tournament win in 2013. Tiger reportedly had the fastest swing speed on the course all week, proving his spinal fusion surgery has reinvigorated his game and thrust him into the conversation for a 15th major championship. When asked how his performance has improved, Woods, quote, said, "It feels good to be here," with him almost capturing his 80th PGA win. Tiger will be playing at the Arnold Palmer Invitational this week as he and many others look to get the shape for the most prestigious golf tournament of the year.
Well, that's all we have for this episode of Sports Wire. Stay tuned for more. I'm Brendan Murray.
And I'm Anna Colessa. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Anna. British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said Tuesday that Russia has until midnight tonight to explain how a lethal Novichok nerve agent that was developed in Russia came to be used on UK soil. Johnson said Britain is preparing to take commensurate but robust action, reiterating British Prime Minister Theresa May's statement that it was highly likely Russia was to blame for the poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia Johnson. Said the use of this nerve agent would represent the first use of nerve agents on the continent of Europe since the Second World War. Skripal and his daughter were attacked more than a decade after he was arrested and charged with working undercover for Britain's M16. He was freed in 2010 and allowed to move to the UK, benefiting from a prisoner swap. He is now a UK citizen. He and his daughter remain in critical condition after being poisoned in the historic city of Salisbury, England. It is also important to note that Nikolai Gluchvik, another Russian exile linked to a Putin critic, was found dead in London with a police unsure of the case, but saying there is a link to the nerve gas attack. Also hospitalized was a policeman who responded to the scene. He remains in serious but stable condition, May said on Tuesday. May spoke with President Trump to update him on the ongoing investigation into the Salisbury incident. According to a Downing Street spokesperson as of today, Russia has yet to come forward with an explanation and are facing heavy sanctions and diplomatic expulsions from various members of the United Nations.
Legendary physicist Stephen Hawking died on March 15th at the age of 76. The world-renowned scientist, who was diagnosed with ALS at 21 and told he had only 2 years to live, went on to live 5 decades later than predicted. He leaves behind a legacy that will live on in the stars.
Action star and former California governor Arnold Schwarzenegger announced this Sunday that he plans to sue global oil companies for knowingly killing people all over the world at the SXSW festival. Schwarzenegger went on to say via podcast that there is verifiable proof that since 1959, big oil companies had evidence that excessive pollution of fossil fuels would cause global warming and endanger the population. Arnold is a vocal figure in the movement for global climate change and believes the everyday business dealing of oil giants involving intent to kill. He is accusing the companies in his beliefs that if you walk into a room and you know you're going to kill someone, it's first-degree murder. While Arnold, unfortunately, can't go back in time to terminate global warming, he has talked to lawyers about building a case and is one of the few people with enough funds to battle the wealthy oil giants. If anything, the environmentalist isn't hoping that his lawsuit will force gas stations and other products involving fossil fuels to display warning labels, encouraging the use of cleaner cars and environmental-friendly energy sources.
Arnold isn't the only one. Here to give us all the hot gossip on everything in the world of Hollywood are Ariel Matayer and Taryn Smith.
Thanks, Ned, and welcome to Entertainment Now. I am your host, Ariel Laura Matayer, with our lovely host over here,
Taryn Smith.
And you are watching Entertainment Now. It seems recent Oscar winner Frances McDormand's infamous and powerful acceptance speech has Hollywood not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. McDormand threw down the gauntlet, challenging Hollywood to take action, offering two words: inclusion writer. Inclusion writer was a term first coined by director of USC Annenberg's Media, Diversity and Social Change Initiative, Stacey L. Smith, and civil rights attorney Kapalna Kotelgla. While there has been attempts to bring inclusiveness to Hollywood films, Smith argues that A-list actors can do a lot more, such as integrating a clause in their contracts that ensures that members of the cast and crew be reflected in the films. The inclusion writer states that members of a marginalized community, such as women, people of color, those with disabilities, LGBTQ, and so on, should be depicted on screen in proportion to their representation in the population. McDormand said she herself just found out about it the week before the Oscars while she was backstage. She urged that we're not going back. That whole idea of women trending, no. No trending. African Americans trending, no trending. It changes now. And I think the inclusion writer has something to do with that. The power and rules. In the days following the speech, several movie stars have taken initiative to commit to the inclusion writer, such as Michael B. Jordan, Brie Larson, director Paul Feig, as well as Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. This year's Academy Awards featured the most diversity the show has had in years, with films like Coco, Get Out, Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. It seems the Oscar has made quite a turnaround from last year's show, which was accompanied by the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite.
Famed French fashion designer Hubert de Givenchy died at his home in his sleep this past Saturday, March 10th, and at the age of 91. It was confirmed Monday on the House of Givenchy Twitter account, as well as a personal statement made from longtime partner Philippe Vinet. He created perhaps the most iconic look in fashion history, the little black dress actress and muse Audrey Hepburn wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's. In 1995, he retired after completing his final collection, but was still involved in the company.
On Sunday night, Fox aired a 2-hour special titled O.J. Simpson: The Lost Confession, hosted by Soledad O'Brien. During the controversial speech special, O.J. recounted the hypothetical death of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman in great detail to publisher Judith Regan. The interview was originally taped in 2006 to promote his If I Did It. Christopher Darden, one of the prosecutors in the infamous '94 trial, was part of the panel on the special. Other experts included Judith Regan, FBI profiler Jim Clement, anti-domestic violence advocate Rita Smith, and Nicole Brown's friend Eve Shaktichen. Perhaps the most bizarre part of the special was when Simpson recounted the night of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson's death, claiming a man named Charlie was with him during the time of the murders. He then went on to recounting excruciating detail how he proceeded to get rid of the evidence immediately following the airing. Simpson's current lawyer, Malcolm Leverange, of course claimed the entire interview back in 2006 was a joke. It was scripted by publisher Judith Regan, and OJ went along with it because he needed the money.
On Monday, Beyoncé announced her upcoming stadium tour with husband Jay-Z, which is set to kick off this summer. But just to be clear, Jay-Z is only on the bill because we all know after Lemonade that she does not trust her man to be left alone on a tour, let's be real.
For real.
It's been years since the iconic duo have toured together. Let's just hope Becky with the good hair doesn't show up. Otherwise, the Bayhive will get her, for sure.
This weekend, Black Panther reached $2 million worldwide and has continued to stay #1 in the box office for weekends in a row. A Wrinkle in Time, which premiered this past weekend, is #2 in the box office. For the first time in history, films created by Black directors have topped the box office. What do you think about that? Just really seeing a representation of yourself in media, in entertainment, and we're the top 2.
Absolutely. You know, it's really, really interesting. I was talking to a group of young girls a couple months ago, and they were talking about how all their favorite films, and they're all young women of color, had all white actresses and all white actors, and that's just not realistic. Having young people be able to see other people of color that look like them doing heroic, incredible things is just really, really impactful for our community, and I'm really excited about it.
Definitely. I feel the same way because, you know, last year we had Get Out, and that was just a huge hit. Everyone was talking about it, and now we have a film just showing how beautiful we are, how prestigious we are, and how we can work together as a community, you know? And I think it's just so neat how we could all just come together and then create such greatness.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have That's all we have for you in the world of entertainment this week. Tune in next time to get the latest inside scoop. I'm Taryn Smith.
And I'm Ariel Nataire. Back to you guys. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Their arm is not supposed to bend that way.
It was you, wasn't it? An outsider sneaking into our dormitory to deceive tonight to steal my precious letter.
Oh my god, are you kidding? Hey, are we eating on the floor now?
Looks like they're learning well.
You
guys are bad every time someone comes.
You know, I'm not ready to be a mother yet. I don't want to do this.
That's all we have for you today of this edition of The Eye of the Storm. For all the latest content, like us on Facebook and YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WRED-TV.
Also, be sure to check out WRED-TV.com to keep up with all of our latest episodes and see how you can be part of our productions.
From all of us here, I'm Michael Outlaw.
And I'm Ned Brennan. Good night.